Hi, everybody, and good morning. Thank you for joining me this morning as we're looking at the chapter in Psalms 100, talking about thankfulness and gratefulness, an appropriate topic for Thanksgiving week, especially a Thanksgiving week that is probably a little different for all of us than in normal years. Psalm 100, verse 1, we're going to be looking at verse 1, 2, and 3 this morning. It says, "Shout for joy to the Lord, all the earth. Worship the Lord with gladness. Come before him with joyful songs." You might read that and think, yeah, not this week. This week has been challenging or hard, or I'm just not in the mood to shout for joy or to come before him with joyful songs. Not today, not this morning. How can we do that on difficult weeks or those weeks where we don't feel like worshiping? How do we set our attitude and our worship towards the Lord in such a way where we can be honest and actually be joyful in the way we approach him? Well, I think the secret actually is found in the next verse, verse 3. It says, "Know that the Lord is God. It is he who made us, and we are his. We are his people, the sheep of his pasture." Knowing whose we are, knowing who we belong to, is actually the well from which we draw our joy, our peace, and our worship. This phrase, sheep, this title or this label of sheep, these days gets a pretty bad rap. To be a sheep is not a positive thing. This idea that we don't think for ourselves and we blindly follow what maybe a politician says or a news source says, or fill in the blank. That's what is considered being like a sheep. I think sheep get a bad reputation, and yet I'll tell you what, it is a relief to be a sheep when we talk about it in this context of knowing that we are the sheep of his hand, that we belong to him, and that he's in charge. And I was thinking through this morning for our devotional, these three things that if we embrace this identity of being the sheep of his pasture, these three things are true, and it's a real relief for us, and it can create worship and joy in our hearts. Number one, as a sheep, we know that somebody else is fighting for us. Isn't that great to know? That when you feel like it's all up to you, maybe the weight of the world or the weight of your current situation, that no one else has your back, and you're out there on the front lines fighting your own battles for yourself. If we believe that we belong to him, that's the first thing, is that somebody else is fighting for us, that he has both the ability and the willingness to stand up for you this week. As you face difficulty or challenges or whatever, that someone is fighting for you. The second thing that we find relief in is that the darker it gets, the greater the need for someone to follow. And being a sheep of his pasture means that when the sun sets, he is going to lead us. When it gets dark, when the storm hits, he is going to lead us. I was driving back over the pass from Portland, a month ago or so, and it was super dark, rain coming down, some fog. It was so difficult to see. And as I was driving, I came to this passing lane, and I saw a car in my rear view, and so I slowed down in the passing lane and let them pass me and then take the lead. And then for the rest of that section of the highway, I just stayed right on their tail. Watching their lights, giving me someone to follow, was such a relief, because I didn't have to squint and hunt for the next turn and the next movement of the road. I could follow somebody who had the way in front of them. They could deal with it. They could suffer through trying to see in the dark. I was just going to follow those lights. And we have this sense of when we are following Jesus, it is so much easier than forging our own path because he's a good shepherd. And then finally, we can rest deeply knowing that someone else is watching over us. If you've ever been out camping in a tent, in the wilderness, it can be frightening when you hear a noise. I remember camping with a friend of mine at the base of his house sister years and years ago, and remember waking up in the middle of the night hearing some kind of animal making noises, and your mind goes to the worst case scenario, that's a cougar or a bear, and this idea that when someone else is in charge of you, you can sleep in peace, knowing that it's not up to you, that someone else is watching over you. So my encouragement for us today, as we head off to whatever you've got going on today, is that you can rest assured and be relieved in this sense that we are the sheep of his pasture. He's watching out for us, he's leading us, and he's guarding over us. God bless you. We love you. Have a great day.